Welcome to Faro Training. This video will cover selection and navigation tools in 3D and correspondence view. This video is third in a series of 3. It is recommended that you view the other 2 first. By the end of this class, you should be able to navigate in 3D and correspondence view and identify the display settings. You should also be able to identify the tools for selection, which are different than in planar and quick view, and be able to select points for manipulation. So let's begin. The first topic we will cover is an overview of the 3D view toolbar. After that, we will go into Scene to look at navigation modes, viewpoint and camera commands, and display settings. Last of all, we will try out the selection tools. The navigation and selection tools are exactly the same in both correspondence and 3D view. However, my example will be in the 3D view, so please keep in mind when I refer to this view, I am generally referring to both. A new set of tools will appear when you open a 3D view, as shown on the screen. We will look at them in depth, but this shot is to let you know where they are located and what it is I am referring to. First, we have the navigation mode box, and then the up, forward, or right buttons, top view, side views, and isometric views box, make all objects visible and set rotation point, the camera position tool, selector tools for a 3D view, which are a different set than we have seen previously, pixel sizing, and gap filling and clear view mode. Now into Scene for a demonstration. I'm going to open a 3D view from the cluster level by right-clicking on the Scans folder and going to View, 3D View. Both of my scans are loaded, so they appear immediately. There are 4 modes for navigation in a 3D view. These are Fly, Examine, Walk, and Camera Pan. I'm going to start with the simplest one first. With Pan, you'll click with your left mouse button and drag. This simply will translate the point cloud up or down, left or right. In Examine mode, you can rotate the point cloud by clicking and holding the left mouse button while moving it. And you can pan in it by pressing down the middle mouse button or the middle scroll wheel if you have one, and then you'll be panning again. You can zoom in or out by scrolling with the mouse wheel and moving back. Now you're only going to be magnifying the point cloud. You're not actually moving where your camera position is. So if I'm on the outside of this wall, I'll never be looking at the other side of the wall. If you're scrolling the opposite direction you expect to, go up to Tools and hit Options and go to Navigation, and then you can check Invert Mouse Wheel. Okay. Now in a fly-through mode, you're actually going to be moving your camera position. You do this using the forward, back, left, and right buttons, like this. You can go faster by holding down Shift while you do that. You can also go up or down by hitting Page Up and Page Down. Walk mode is very similar, except where it'll fix your elevation so that it'll feel like you're walking through the point cloud instead of flying through it. These 2 modes are very useful if you've scanned inside a building and initially your view is outside of the rooms and you want to look at the rooms from inside of them. Then you can fly into the room, switch back into Examine, and then you can rotate around to look at the room. The next 3 buttons are Look Up, Look Forwards, and look right. You can press Shift to look the opposite direction for any of these. Your camera position will stay the same, but it'll make you look up, look left, or look right, just as you would expect it to. This particular point cloud, when I look up, I'm just looking towards the sky, so it's probably not the best one to demonstrate with. But there's my look forwards and look right. I can see the trees that are around the building. The next buttons are top view, right view, back view, isometric left, and isometric right. I'm going to hit my top view first. This will bring our whole point cloud into view and will have us look down on it relative to the coordinate system. This is great for getting an overview and seeing if your scans have matched together correctly. It's also good if you get lost anywhere in the point cloud like I did just a second ago, because it'll bring you back to the top. So then you can rotate around to wherever you want to be to look at it. To show a right view, back view, ISO left, and ISO right. Our next button is change camera position to make all objects visible. This will zoom you out so that you can see everything, particularly if you had any modeled objects. It would make it so that all modeled objects are within the view at any point. Set rotation point. In Examine, we're rotating the point cloud around. If you're trying to look at a particular object, you can set the rotation point. I'm going to say this car over here, and then I'm rotating around that. The next tool we'll look at is Align Camera to Surface Normal. Once I click this button, it will prompt me to take 3 points. Whatever 3 points I click, it will create a plane and move my camera to be looking straight on to that plane. My next button is Move Camera to 3D Point. I'll click this button, and then wherever I click next, it is going to bring my camera position to exactly that point. From there I can rotate around to look at the rest of my view again. Show that again. This is a useful tool. It will bring you to whatever point you click on. My next button is Go Back to Last Camera Position. I can also hit backspace to do the same thing. And it will bring me to my last few places I've just been looking, which we had just gone to from using this button, Move Camera to 3D Point. Now I'm back to the sign and back to the car. I can also save a 3D view screenshot. Once I hit this button, it's going to bring up a save dialog box, and it will allow me to save a JPEG of the image that I'm looking at right now. I'm just going to hit cancel. Manage viewpoints. We've already seen cycling back through various viewpoints. I can also create a viewpoint. I'm just going to move in order to do that. See, I'll hit a top view, and let's say looking at the front door. I'm now going to create this as a viewpoint. Front of building. Say OK. I'll move somewhere else. No biggie, anywhere else. And then I can manage viewpoints. I had called it front of building. I'll say activate, and it will bring me back to that saved viewpoint that I had just made. I can also cycle through them with next and previous, and this will be the ones I've saved, not just the last few that I've clicked on. So, selection tools are what we're going to look at next. The next one's along here. Right now, I only have the polygon selector visible. The other two are grayed out. These two only work when I've compiled a project point cloud. This one will work when I'm looking at the scans in a 3D view. My polygon selector, I'll just left click with it, and left click for each area, each point that I want to enclose, and then double click to enclose that area. It's now going to be selected in yellow. If I right click in that, I can say delete inside or delete outside, or remove selection to unselect. I'm now going to compile a project point cloud so I can show you the other two selection tools. And I'm going to do it very, very quickly. Now I'll open a view of the project point cloud by clicking on the 3D button. Now you can see the other two selectors are available. I'm going to click on the point cloud polygon selector, and in the same way I did before, I can left click around the points I want to enclose and double click to enclose that area. And now I have those points available. Now I'll use the 3D brush selector. This actually creates a sphere of an area that it is going to select. I can make it larger or smaller by using the mouse scroll wheel. You can see whatever I'm hovering on turns yellow. I'm going to select that sphere. I can click and drag and effectively paint an area that I'm going to select. And I'll close this view momentarily. And I'm going to open up my 3D view again. And now we're going to look at the different pixel sizes. We're looking at all the points here. Each point is a pixel. I can make the pixels smaller, medium, or larger if I want to. I usually leave it on the smaller size. You can also toggle on gap filling. Gap filling will try and fill in any gaps between those pixels to give you a better picture. The last button here is Clear View. When you turn on Clear View, it will make points more transparent where they're further apart, and less transparent where they're closer together. In some scans, this will allow you to see the data more easily. To summarize, we have covered how to use the different navigation modes and tools, learned about display settings, and covered how to select points for further manipulation. Thank you very much, and have a nice day.